This is the install video for the DRT style fender flares on Chevrolet 1500 model trucks. For this installation, you'll need the following tools: a utility knife, number 2 Phillips screwdriver, socket wrench, 10mm socket, T15 Torx bit, all or similar pointed tool, grease pencil, and pliers. Before we begin, we'll install the edge trim on the 4 fender flares. Start by peeling 2 to 3 inches of red vinyl backing away from the edge trim tape. Apply the adhesive side of the trim to the top inner side of the flare. This is the edge that will come in contact with your vehicle. Press the edge trim into place in 1-foot increments, pulling red vinyl backing free as you go. Make sure not to stretch the trim as you go. Double check that the trim's adhesive has stuck well before moving on to the next flare. Front flare installation. Begin this process on the front passenger side. Locate the factory-installed mud flap on the passenger side front wheel well. Remove the factory-installed screws and bolt. Then remove the mud flap from the vehicle. Remove and keep the rest of the factory-installed screws as shown in your install manual. These screws will be reused to install the front flare. Hold the flare to the vehicle. Using a grease pencil, mark the 2 locations of the holes indicated in Step 5 of your install manual. Remove the flare. Install supplied foam tab over the rear marked location and install a long U-clip over it. Assemble the 2 parts of the front clip as shown. Note: do not clip together until installing on the vehicle. Install the clear Mylar tab over the location marked at the front of the wheel well and install the clip assembly as indicated on top of the tab. Press down on the assembly until you hear an audible snap. Hold the Bushwacker DRT flare to the vehicle and reinstall the 3 factory screws at the top of the wheel well. Do not tighten. Reinstall the 2 factory screws at the rear of the wheel well. Do not tighten. Install the supplied Phillips screws at the rear and front clip locations. Do not tighten. With all the screws in place, firmly press the flare against the vehicle and tighten all the screws down. Repeat this process for the driver's side flare. Rear flare installation. Begin this process on the rear passenger side. Locate the factory-installed mud flap in the front of the rear wheel well. Remove the 5 install screws with the T15 Torx driver. Keep 2 of the screws as they will be reused in the install of the new flare. Firmly pull the flare away from the vehicle to disengage the factory retaining clip. If necessary, use pliers to release the clip. Locate the mud flap at the rear of the wheel well and remove the 2 factory screws. These screws will be reused to install the flare. Do not remove the mud flap. Hold the flare to the vehicle and using a grease pencil mark the 5 holes at the top of the flare. Install the supplied foam tabs over each location marked in the previous step. Then install the supplied U-clips over each foam tab. Hold the flare to the vehicle and install the supplied Phillips head screws at each clip location. Do not tighten. Reinstall the 4 factory screws at the front and rear of the wheel well. Do not tighten. Press the flare firmly against the vehicle and tighten all of the screws. Repeat this process for the rear driver's side flare. Using the supplied edge trim tool, seat the edge trim against the vehicle. Repeat this step for all newly installed flares.